Man, everybody tells me the ending of this show is really unsatisfying, man. I'm a little nervous to see how this is gonna go down. You won't die over it. Alright guys, this one's going to be doing a review today. This one's going to be doing a review for Lost. This one's going to be doing what is the final review for Lost. That's right, we have made it. Season 6, the final season. I figured I'd wrap this one up before the holiday season. If you didn't see, we reviewed Season 5 a few days ago, and we reviewed Season 4 a little while back, and now this is the final season of Lost. Kind of sad, y'all. I started this in 2024, and here we are at the end of 25, just wrapping it up now. We're going to talk about it. We're going to go over how we felt about the ending. I have some very out there opinions that may actually shock a lot of y'all, and overall, we're going to talk about this. So, as you all know, Season 5 was not my favorite season. If you can go back and see the rating I gave it, I was not exactly a big fan of Season 5. Getting into Season 6, I was in a pretty crummy mood. I'm not going to lie. I was like, okay, this show really kicked itself in the ass. You know, it really did. And then I started Season 6, and I was like, this feels more like Lost to me. This one does. It was really cool. Basically, we have two storylines primarily in this final season. We've got the main storyline on the island where them trying to reboot everything, as Jack tried to do last season, doesn't work. And they're all back in the normal timeline of the island. They're not in the 70s anymore, but unfortunately nothing worked. And you have that storyline. You have everybody that's pissed at Jack at the beginning of the season. And, as I was mentioning, we do start this season off with a massive casualty. Juliet, unfortunately, was let go when everything went down, and she is suffering. Like, she's dying. So, she dies in Sawyer's arms, and he, lifts her out of there from that, tunnel, and basically gets out of there and looks at Jack, and he was like, this is you. Like, you did this. So, losing Juliet right off the bat this season was not something I thought was going to happen. That's a character that's been around since Season 3, and I really, really liked her character, honestly. So, getting to see her go out like that was really sad. And to be honest, I like that they did that, because it felt like a ballsy thing to do to introduce the final season. Like, they right away were like, yup, anybody can die. Like, it's final season. Like, you better get ready. You know what I mean? So I respected them a lot for that. And it was a sad death. I'm not going to lie. It was really sad. And I liked the bond that she built with Sawyer over time. So I thought that was really sad. Now, obviously the rest of our characters, they're trying to figure a way out of this. They're trying to get out of this whole thing. And, basically, while this is going on, we basically have a secondary plot this season, which is what people call the Flash Sideways. And it's not a flashback series over the course of the season like they usually do, or a flash forward of the season like they also usually do. It's actually, kind of it almost felt like a what if at first. At first, at least. That's what they make it seem like. Like, what if it did work? And what if Jack is on the plane and he doesn't remember anybody, you know? And what if nobody remembers anybody? You know what I mean? And we get a lot of cool stuff in this. We get, like, Jack, he's got a son now, which I thought was insane. Jack has a son, and obviously the custody of the kid is Juliet, which I thought was kind of crazy. They're not together anymore, though. So that's kind of like a what if that happened, you know? And you've got Sawyer, who's a cop, which I thought was crazy. Kate, who is still breaking the law. That one stayed pretty similar. But she meets Claire and, like, makes this bond with her. You've got Desmond that meets up with Charlie in this one, and they share a pretty cool bond. And obviously Desmond is this time traveler and stuff. And, well, Desmond's the one that kind of starts connecting things, you know? He starts to get the idea that there was another version of this life where everybody knew each other. And Desmond is easily my favorite character of the Flash Sideways. And finally, they bring him back into the story. One of my biggest pet peeves of Season 5 is that Desmond wasn't there. And Desmond is like my favorite character, so I was really pissed off that he wasn't in season 5. Desmond this season is trying to connect the story pieces and trying to get everybody to one place where they know what's going on. And he's a man on a mission, you know what I mean? And you've got a lot of people. You got Daniel Faraday that sees Charlotte in this version of the story, and he's like, you seem to like almost like feel an instant connection to her, you know what I mean? And Desmond's trying to get all these people to meet at one spot so that they can realize what's going on. And as the season progresses, and this is when this got really emotional, I'm not gonna lie, this kind of got me, y'all. When you have the moments where like Hurley is in the mental institution and he's talking with Libby, and they like put their hand on each other's hand, and as soon as they do that, it's like they remember the island. It's like they remember the other life, you know what I mean? And he's like, Libby, you know? And that happens to every little duo that interacts as they start to learn. They do remember the island. They do remember who each other are. And that's when it's like, wait a minute, this isn't a what if then. It can't be. It can't be a what if at all. What the hell is this, you know? And that's when that stuff got really interesting. Really interesting. So, I thought that was insane. I thought that was absolutely insane. And genuinely mind-blowing, honestly, at this point. And you've got Claire that obviously is related to Jack, as we knew. Well, we see her interact with Jack in this one as well, in this other life and stuff like that. And it was nuts. Like, it was absolutely insane. You have John Locke that interacts with Ben. You've got John that interacts with Jack at the airport, and Jack, offers to help him with his, legs and try to get him walking again. And it seems like, he may have actually fixed him this time, which I thought was so cool because, like, these two are rivals, you know what I mean, in the island plots. So it made for such a crazy storyline. All these Flash Sideway plots I thought were just, honestly, some of the most emotional stuff the show has ever done. And when you realize what this is, and I'll get to it later, it hits. It really hits. The writers pulled me back in this season. They did, because that stuff was, it was pretty nuts, man. I'm not gonna lie. So that's the Flash Sideways. Now let's talk about the main island plot. You've got Smokey, played by frickin' Terry O'Quinn still. Now, this is when some of my problems this season came in. The island stuff, unfortunately, was not as good as the, Desmond trying to connect everybody in the Flash Sideways plot. It wasn't as good. But it was still solid. I liked, the Man in Black's, objective to try to get everybody to get him off the island, because he's such a powerful man that if he gets off of there, the whole world will probably end. You know what I mean? It's like Homelander. You know what I mean? Like, you get this guy off the island, he's probably going to ruin everything, Now you got a few locations. You got the lighthouse. You got a few of the other spots he's got, you know what I mean? He's, on the loose, and he's turning people against each other and stuff like that. And you got Sawyer that's kind of like the middleman in this one. And, well, basically, you've got kind of this, like, three-way war. You've got our survivors on the island. You've got, the Smoky Monster, that's played by Terry O'Quinn, the Man in Black. And you've got, the Mr. Widmore guy that comes in. Now, Mr. Widmore was a character that kind of showed up at the island every now and again over the course of the show, and I didn't find he was used all that well. He came in this submarine where basically he tried to take out the Man in Black, and I understand his motives, but I found he showed up with a lot of idiots, like a lot of stupid soldiers that didn't really know what the hell they were doing, you know what I mean? And I don't know, I just didn't like his inclusion in this season. I found it was random. I found it was rushed. It almost felt like the writers were like, oh yeah, let's add him in here because we can't leave anything, unfinished before the show ends. Like, it didn't feel like an authentic return to me. It didn't. It was like, oh, a big submarine comes in. Okay. Screw the rest of our group. Now we got the Man in Black and, this guy versing each other. I'm like, I don't give a frig about this, So I don't know. The conflict was weird. I did like when Sawyer kind of played the in-between guy, you know what I mean? That kind of acted like he was loyal to both sides. I did like that. because Sawyer's the con man, you know what I mean? But the rest was just strange. Like, I don't know. The rest was just weird. And basically in this one, you've got a lot of, stuff that happens. A lot of fighting with Man in Black. A lot of different things like that. I did like a Jin and Sons reunion. That was fantastic. Claire lost her frickin' mind this season. One of the main reasons Kate came back to the island is to get her back to Aaron, which obviously she's been taken care of over the course of these few years. But Claire has absolutely lost her damn mind. She's kind of a badass, though. I ain't gonna cap. Like, she's kind of like a puppet to the Man in Black, so she's definitely brainwashed, but I kind of liked how badass she was because she was an innocent nothing, you know what I mean, in the first season. I don't know if Charlie would necessarily be proud of her now, but I think he'd be like, oh, damn, like, okay, it's different, She looks crazy, so, there you go. Now, you've got a few other storylines this season. Saeed, who dies and gets brought back to life. Very weird. The supernatural elements were really taking over this season. You've also got, a massive lore piece. Now, okay, we've made it to the final season. What's the island, right? That's the big question. Everybody's wondering, what the hell is the island? We finally find out what this is, and I thought it was pretty interesting. And it did work in some areas. It did. Some of it did work. But some of it didn't work. We basically get a flashback in this one, in the third last episode of the show, which I thought was bad timing. But you have Jacob, and you have his brother, obviously Man in Black, and their little boys. And this predates, like, anything. It predates, like, anything. Like man itself. Like, I don't know what was going on. And basically, you got this mother that kills this pregnant woman, you know what I mean, that delivers two little boys, and those two little boys are Jacob and Man in Black. And she basically raises them on the island, and this is like way before, like this is like before medieval times, before a whole bunch of stuff. Like, they went back in this one. And the island predates everything. And basically, they find this, like, frickin' portal, this, like, lagoon or whatever, that, like, if you drink a certain thing of water and you go in there, you can have powers or something. Or if you just drink it, you can become the protector of the island or whatever BS like that. So, they have a fight, and Man in Black gets pushed into the portal, and he comes back out as this smoke monster, and that's how the smoke monster was created. I'm not yanking y'all's chain. That's how that happened, and it was goofy as crap. I was like, what are we doing right now? Like, what the hell is going on? And you've got Jacob that drinks this special juice, you know what I mean? And now he's the protector of the island. He protects it for years and years and decades and hundreds of years to come. I'm like, okay, so we're just going cuckoo land, all right? Okay, cool. A show that felt like it was grounded in reality quickly broke that this season, and it didn't do it a service for me because I didn't like how they handled it. It felt so goofy, and it looked like a piss light. It just looked so stupid. I was like, I didn't know I was watching Harry Potter. Like, what the hell are we doing right now? You know what I mean? I don't get it. I don't get it whatsoever, and I'm not gonna act like I get it. It was ridiculous. So anyway, that's what happened there. That's how these two brothers have a rivalry, and that's how that goes down. I'm not going to go into it anymore, because honestly, it actually ruins, like, my perception of the show, and I don't like that to happen. So, that's what happened there. The worst part of the season, easily, was that backstory with those two little boys. Oh my god, like, I wanted to flick that off so bad. It was so bad. When it was predating, like times that we are even familiar with, I was like, okay, this is just I don't know what that was, but I was like, I am done. I'm so done. Like I said, the Flash Sideways was definitely the better plot. Now, it's time for the Man in Black to get some kills, right? So we get that this season. We get a great backstory on Richard, which I liked. That one was good, because that one felt authentic. You know, he lost his wife, he ended up stranded on the island, he met the Man in Black. That one felt more authentic. That was one of my favorite episodes this season. I thought that was good. Kind of felt like a Red Dead Redemption style episode, you know what I mean? And obviously we see how he doesn't age over the course of time. Man in Black does that to him. And the answer to this whole thing is Man in Black. That's basically, that's how stuff goes down. That's how the island is the way it is. I don't know what else to say. It's the reveal of the island is goofy. It doesn't add up at all. I'm not saying it's season 5 bad, because it's not that bad, but it's still like, it feels like something season 5 would do. So that's kind of where I'm at. I didn't really care for any of the reveals, but that's the reveals of the island right there. That's the truth right there. Just dumb. Just so freaking dumb. And basically, as we go on here, we have some massive deaths. Now, this gets really sad. They're in the submarine, and the thing is about to blow up. And Sayid sees that there's a time bomb on this, and Man in Black screwed them over as they were trying to escape. And Sayid takes the opportunity to run into the other room, shut the door, and blows himself up. So Sayid's the first big one to go here. Sayid loved his character. I loved his character so much. Honestly, his death was really sad. Did I feel like it could have been prevented, though? Yeah, it could have been. But it was sad, regardless. I'm going to devoid logic there. But his death was sad. You want to know what was even more sad, though? Is Jin and Sun. That one actually hit my emotions right there. I'm not going to lie. When he's like, you die, I die. Like, she's like, get out of here, Jin. The freaking water of the submarine is filling up. Man in Black has them pinned. And he refuses to leave her. He's like, I left you once. I'm not leaving you again, you know? And you know what makes it even more sad is that they have a kid. You know what I mean? That's what made it more sad. But they die together, almost like a Bonnie and Clyde type of event. You know what I mean? Really freaking sad, man. I'm not gonna lie. That really, really saddened me, that death. And it actually took me a few days to get over. That one felt like Charlie to me. Like, that one was, yeah, sad. Really, really sad. So that was the biggest death to me of the entire show. The way that went down, that was so sad. I grew to love Jin as the show went on. I really did. I was so happy when he was alive. I'm glad he died with his wife. You couldn't ask for a better death, honestly. And it's the final season. You gotta have the Man in Black get something, you know what I mean? I get that. And to be honest, you couldn't have picked two better characters. It was a great way for them to go out, despite how sad it was. It was well written, and I did really like the way they did it. So that was that. Now, then we're in the final act. We're down to, like, Jack, Kate, who's injured now. You've got Sawyer, and you've got, like a few other people. And for some reason, Desmond, they just have in an offshoot well. Man in Black just shoots him for some reason and leaves him for dead. I'm not sure what the purpose of that was, but they do that as well. Okay. And then you get down to, like, the final act. You've got Ben Linus. He confronts Whitmore. Whitmore goes down, due to, obviously, Man in Black being sent there by Ben Linus. So Ben works with Man in Black to kill Whitmore, which I thought was cool. Ben's a sleazeball anyway. I get that he would do that. That makes total sense. So Whitmore's taken out. Like I said, Whitmore just felt so random to me this season. I didn't even know what to think. And then, getting into the final episode. It's time for Jack versus Man in Black, right? It's time for the thing we've been waiting for. And the island's shaking, everything's, moving and stuff, and they have to stop it, before everything goes down. You've got Lapidus that, of course, gets the plane ready, he gets the rest of our survivors ready, stuff like that. And, basically, Jack ends up getting injured and stabbed by Man in Black. Now, the part I didn't understand is the fact that the powers and everything related to the island was taken out, but somehow the Man in Black still looks like John Locke. I don't get that element of it at all. Like the supernatural parts were knocked out. The lagoon and everything was taken out. But somehow he still looks like John Locke. I don't even know. You can tell they desperately wanted to get the visualizer of Jack versus Locke. So they did that anyway. But I'm like, why didn't you just keep John Locke alive? Have him gain powers and then do what you're gonna do. Like, I'll never understand why they killed him off. I'll never understand why they did that. Because you can tell watching this season, they wanted Jack versus Locke. So I didn't get that. But it was a cool fight scene. The final fight between them was great. Even though it should have been Jean. That's the part that got taken away from me, if you ask me. But it was great. It was still a great scene anyway. And he takes him out, he kills him, and Jack is going to stay. He's going to stay for the downfall, and it's really sad because you've got Sawyer that shakes Jack's hand. This is the final interaction they have, and he looks at him, and he's like, thanks, Doc. Thanks for everything, And talk about a redemption, man. Sawyer's such a good freaking character. One of my favorites. If you're not talking Desmond, I think that's my favorite character of Lost right there. His character ended perfectly. His character, Kate, Jack goes out like a freaking badass. Like, you can't tell me he doesn't. He stays behind, and Hurley and Ben. And Hurley and Ben are left as the hosts of the island, is what they look at it as. You know, they're going to protect it. They're going to be the protectors of the island. Nice to see Hurley, that thought he was useless over the course of this entire show, you know, become the most important man of the island, and Jack gave him that job. I really like that. That was really good. Now, the ending. Okay, now obviously Jack, they wrap him up. He goes out like a freaking badass. And the show ends in a pretty insane way, basically. We see that the Flash Sideways is actually the afterlife. Now, I know that this was something that people were thinking, okay, it makes the whole show pointless. I actually liked it. I did. I thought it made sense. Because it's not like they're dead the entire time. The ones that survive the show do get out. You know what I mean? And at the end, they all find each other again. I thought it was a brilliant way of doing it. I really did. I know it's kind of a controversial way of doing it. You definitely have to have a certain ideology to understand it. But I thought it worked. I thought it was a beautiful way to conclude it. And when John stepped out of the chair and said, "Thank you, Ben," you know, like those moments, it got me, man. Honestly, I was really like, damn, like, okay, shoot, you know? So I left it very happy, and they end it like the pilot, as you see him on the ground there, and he goes out, you know, happy that he saved his people. I thought this was great. I thought it was amazing. And that realization, like, he's like, I'm dead too, you know what I mean? And it was like, damn. It's morbid, but it's real. That's what I liked about it. So the ending I liked, which I know might be the biggest hot take of the whole thing. I liked the way it ended. I really did. I just thought the season had flaws here and there, but the ending, loved it all. I genuinely, I loved everything. I loved how they found each other again. I loved how everything kind of worked out. I really liked the ending. I really did, which might sound shocking. So there you guys go. That's the journey right there. That's the journey in the show. Let me know what you guys think of the show overall. I left satisfied. I did. I left satisfied. I really did. I would give this season overall a 7.5 out of 10. The island plot definitely suffered this season. The Flash Sideways was great, and I loved the series finale. I did. I thought they reeled it in at the end. And I like the idea of them being dead and them finding themselves. I thought that was a great and beautiful conclusion. I really did. I've never seen a TV show do it, you know what I mean? And it kind of makes you sit there and think to yourself in real life, like, damn, like, you know, is this what it's like? You know what I mean? Like, they kind of go into that on this show, and I'm like, damn, that's crazy, man. It's a really ballsy move, but I did definitely appreciate it. So that's how I felt. I thought it was great. Thank you all for joining me on this journey. I know it took a long time. And I want to say overall, now that the show's done, I had a great time with it. I'll definitely probably do more discussion videos on it. There's some theories I want to do on it. There's some other things that I've kind of caught over my time on the show that I did want to talk about. So any top 10 videos or discussion videos y'all want me to do, definitely let me know. But that is that for the show. That is that for this series. Great journey. Thank you, everybody, for recommending it to me. And that is the end of our journey. We're going to be starting new shows next year, so definitely, the journeys continue with the show reviews, but that is it for this one. Took us about a year and a half, roughly. Definitely a big one. Definitely a big deal for sure. I thank y'all for taking this journey with me. Seriously, much appreciated. So, happy holidays, everybody. Thank y'all for watching. Post your comments down below. And if you're new to the channel and you enjoy videos like this, sure, click subscribe. And you don't miss any of the videos, make sure to follow me on Dan's Reviews Official on Instagram, guys. And of course, I'll see you guys really soon for more videos very soon. Enjoy the rest of the day, guys, and peace out.